Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Brett's Brain. Today, we're going to talk about how to get the most out of your cold email outreach to investors. Hey, I'm Brett Brohl, former entrepreneur, current venture capitalist. Thanks so much for checking out the channel. Our goal here is to help entrepreneurs succeed. Make sure you share, like, subscribe, and ask us questions of how we can help you in your journey. Be happy to do a future video and talk through it. Okay, the cold email outreach. Really hard to do. It's really hard to do in venture capital and to get investors' attention through cold email outreach. Just to give you some ideas of like quantity, but we get dozens and dozens and dozens of cold email outreach across our firm via LinkedIn or email every single day. So it's hard to answer all of them. Most of them go unanswered, to be honest, unfortunately, but we just don't have time to go through all of them. And so here's a couple of tricks that you can use to try and stand out and make sure that your email is looked at and answered. Obviously, number one is look for a warm intro. And if it's a really important person or a really strategic investor, who do you know that knows somebody that knows this investor? And if it's like your top tier, this is my dream investor, it's worth actually networking to that person rather than going cold. Now, you can't do that for everybody because it's incredibly time consuming. So that was kind of a cheat number one, but don't forget that you can work your way to most people, and it might be a friend of a friend of a friend, but for those like really, really valuable contacts, like it's absolutely worth jumping on multiple calls to get that warm intro. Number two, and here's a trick to get a warm intro. So it's not a trick of just how to write a great cold outreach, but it's look at the portfolio companies of a fund and cold outreach to them rather than cold reaching out to that GP or somebody at the fund. Entrepreneurs are far more likely to respond to other entrepreneurs than a GP might be to respond to an entrepreneur, just the way it is. And if you can build a quick relationship with them, there's a better chance or a decent chance that that founder from the portfolio company can actually make an introduction to the fund investor. And you know whose emails I read every single time? Our portfolio companies. There's not one of our portfolio companies' emails that if a founder sends me something, I'm reading it no matter what. So you're not going to get lost in the mix. You're at least going to get some eyeballs on the thing that you're doing. So how do you stand out? So you do some work to get these, kind of cold, networks in, or you just send a cold email like blankly. Like, how do you actually stand out? And this can be true for messaging on LinkedIn. This can be true for sending emails or other, avenues or paths that you might cold reach out to somebody. Number one is do your research. If it is a form email, and you can tell it's a form email, and it's really, really obvious when you're in some sort of like marketing automation tool and my email address just got pulled off of a list and I'm going through things over and over and over again, like that is clear. And even if you use like some sort of like tool where you can switch out one word or two words like the fund name, just honestly, those pretty much get archived or deleted right away because we don't have time to go through all of them. And so do your research on the fund and then truly customize your email. So really understand that, hey, this is Brett from Bread and Butter Ventures. He's really interested in food tech. So you might have seen that Bread and Butter Ventures also invests in health tech, but I'm not the partner that invests in health tech. And so if you send me a cold email outreach on health tech, it shows you didn't do your research on us. But if you send me a targeted thing about food tech and you go deep into like some of our investments and my background and why your company might be a fit, like that's going to get read. And honestly, if you really do customize your email and spend a lot of time, we try to respond 100% of the time to those emails. We really do. And it might be a no, we're not interested. But if it shows that you've done your research on us, if you show that you've done your research on the firm, we're going to try and respond. And so you at least getting eyeballs on it. And it's clear usually to us within that first sentence or two if you've done your research. So that's really, you really need to do your work. Is in that first sentence or two, you got to make it clear that you've done research on us. And so in your first sentence or two, you're not talking about your company in all likelihood. You're actually talking about why you're reaching out to us and why you think Bread and Butter and having a conversation with Bread and Butter makes sense, not from your perspective, but from the fund's perspective. So put yourself in the investor's shoes and say, why does this matter? Why should this investor meet us? Why should they care? Because it's obvious why you want to talk, right? You're raising capital, you need money, and you want to, network and get in front of as many investors as you possibly can. But why should the fund matter? And that's what you put near the top of the email. And it's really, that's subtle. But if you just looks like your first paragraph is a form email about your company that you're sending out to everybody, we're going to assume And we might not even read the second email, even if that a second paragraph, even if that second paragraph is really customized to us. We might not get that far because, again, we're sorting through lots of these at all times. Try and find a personal connection. So that's another tip and trick you can use. So did you go to the same university? Do you live in the same town? Do you have a mutual friend? All of those different things can be a great in at the beginning. Like, hey, Brett saw you went to University of Virginia. I just graduated, or my son or daughter just graduated, right? Like, find that thing, and that shows that you did research. B, if you connect with somebody on a level that they care about, they're more likely to respond, because you don't want to upset, as an investor, like, hey, if I, cold shouldered somebody, a UVA grad, and somehow I keep doing that over and over and over again, maybe I get a bad reputation with UVA grads, and I don't want to poison, my wells or like my networks. And so you're more likely to take those seriously, give them real time, really look into things, and you have a better chance at getting that email connection or that first meeting with the founder, which is always the goal, or first meeting with an investor, which is always the goal. So in short, the best thing you can do from an entrepreneur standpoint to get the attention of investors, do your research and truly actually customize your reach out. If you're doing really generic things, you're going to have a real low conversion rate. And like, maybe that's okay if you're just putting a bunch of emails in, the marketing automation tool, and you're just running it through over and over and over again. But my guess is that the people that actually respond to those are going to be really low quality leads for you. Maybe it's funds that aren't currently investing. Maybe it's, people that are trying to raise their venture funds still, and their deal flow is not, up and running yet. And so my guess is that the type of people that do respond to those marketing, automated emails, or those automated marketing emails that go out, are ones that might be a waste of your time anyways. So do your research up front. It'll actually save you time in the long run, and then customize. And you still have to understand that it might get missed. It really just might get missed. So try 2 different forms. Try email first, and then do one through LinkedIn. Try both and be customized in both of them. And maybe one will hit, and do them on different days. So maybe one day I'm super busy and I miss it, and the next day I have time to be going through like the notifications and messaging that I'm getting. So try in a couple separate days. So those are a couple tips on how to actually connect and get a real meaningful meeting with an investor through cold outreach. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully you get a few more meetings, and hopefully it helps you in your entrepreneurial journey. Make sure you share, like, subscribe, and check out the next video we put out.